Hello guys, Mr. Wednesday here, back at it with another video. Today we have a very different kind of clan boss team, which I'm actually really enjoying, so to say, and I'm really looking forward to showing you the team. The idea came about from a clanmate of mine called Belruden, who actually was going for max increase of damage through either debuffs or buffs, and I'm gonna pretty much explain here why that's the case here. So you do need to technically manual for like 2 turns. This is the team we're gonna be using. Now the idea of debuff and buff, which I mentioned, came from this. So Draco's A1 actually increases the damage by 10% for each debuff on target. Will attack one random enemy with surplus damage, which we do not care about in the clan boss because we actually cannot kill him, right? Then Lord Shazar has the same thing. He attacks 3 times on A1 and damage increases by 15% for each debuff on the target, which means after we stack our debuffs he's actually gonna have more and more damage. And then Turvold actually deals more damage according to the number of the buffs on this champion. So this is not a crazy comp. I'm pretty sure it won't 1-key, but it will definitely be a really good 2-key comp. And then I'm gonna explain why it's really good for somebody who perhaps maybe doesn't have a seeker or cannot 2-key through another team, because the speeds here are fairly low apart from Maneater, so it's really accessible for basically anyone, right? I'm gonna go straight into the fight. So as I said, you technically only need to manual Turvold for 2 turns. I'm gonna show you. So Maneater can do whatever he wants, and then Draco will actually use A2 here. It's in the presets. I just want to show you how we would go about doing it, right? Demytha can go full auto, Shazar can go full auto. I'll show you the preset at the end, and now Maneater can go full auto, and then actually we here just need to use A3 really quickly. Our friendly Draco can do whatever he wants, and now we just wait for another more turn. So we're basically outplaying with everybody. We just want to manual Turvold for 1 more turn, because he would use A2 here and that would desync us, so we want him to use A1. And from here on out it's full auto. We are not fully protected by the turn 9, actually. I mean fully in sync. We are protected, right? At some points the block damage or unkillable will fall off. That's okay, you'll survive for sure. And then actually after turn 9 we're fully in sync and there's no chance of getting killed by the clan boss. Now the thing I do need to mention is you are fully protected from the stun from the get-go, so there's no need to worry, will I get stunned, what will happen, etc. You will not be getting stunned. Now I tested these same builds on Force Affinity. I'll really quickly insert the screenshot at the end. We sadly did not 1-key there, so as I said, I do not believe we will be 1-keying here either. But as I said, it's a really nice 2-key comp, and it was really actually fun to build. We achieved some really nice builds here, and I'll show them all off at the end. I'm just gonna let the run go its natural course to the end, and then I'll show you the builds. And there we go, almost 50 million damage. Now, as I said, this is not going to be your crazy wonky Ultra Nightmare team, but if you're perhaps just struggling a little bit with finding a comp that works for you, and you don't mind perhaps even like pre-keying Ultra Nightmare if you're maybe just getting into Ultra Nightmare, the only champions here that are basically not changeable are going to obviously be Maneater and Demytha, and the team with Maneater and Demytha has been here basically ever since Demytha came on the scene. She became the basically queen of clan boss, at least when it comes to unkillable teams. Now I do want to say, if you perhaps do have all these champions, it's a fairly budget unkillable team. I'm gonna really quickly jump into the presets here and show you, give me just a second, and gonna show you the how to set it up and why do I say it's a full auto team. So basically what you want to do is actually just go over here, and then you're actually gonna set Draco to use this as his first choice, and then here as his second choice. And then for Shazar, actually we just want him to use his A1 ability. That's the one that's gonna be dealing the damage through the increased damage through the debuff on the target. And then for Turvold, you basically just do not do anything, because you do, as I said, need to manual him for 2 turns. After that, it's full auto, as you could have seen. Now for Maneater, we just want him to open with his A1, so you just basically set A1 to opener, and then A3 is just basically gonna be his first choice. As for Demytha, you just again set A1 to opener, A2 as the first choice, and then A3, which is going to be the block damage, as the second choice. I'm gonna really quickly just run through the builds so I can show you why I say they are fairly easy to achieve. Now, as I said, the only really speedy champion here is going to be the Maneater. Let me just find the correct one really quickly. So the fast Maneater needs to be 288 speed, right? I'm gonna just really quickly go through all the other stats. So we did achieve 100% crit rate. We actually went just a tad bit overboard. I wish we could have gotten again more attack and more crit damage, but again, I just do not see this comp really wonkying unless you can perhaps utilize some other sets, which we couldn't here. So you could basically achieve just 100% crit rate and even lower the crit damage and attack, and you should still be fine. You do not really count on Maneater to do any crazy damage here. And then when it comes to the Demytha, Demytha is actually really slow here. Let me just find her now really quickly. She should be up here, yeah. So we do have her at 173. She can actually be 172 at the lowest. The speeds are a tad bit on the exact side. You cannot, there's no really much of a room to lower them or increase them in any way. And then we actually did achieve a lot of attack on her, given that her base attack is 749, and then again 100% crit rate, as much crit damage as you can fit into the build. And then as for the 3 main champions who we're gonna be counting on doing the damage here, they're gonna be Turvold, who is a void legendary. So if you were perhaps asking, what if I do not have Turvold, I actually have the second run in this same video that's gonna be Turvold less, let's say like that. But the speed again is really achievable, 159, and then you just literally want to stack attack and crit damage as high as you can possibly get them, and that's basically all the thing you need to do. After that, it's all fine. You do not need to really get anything further than that. And then actually the second one we have here is going to be Draco. Draco actually has again 198 speed. You can go just a tad bit lower here. It can be 195 speed. You cannot go at a much higher. If you want to go much higher, you would need to run red to the Devil the Jedi's clan boss calculator, because I actually tried it out, and after 199 speed the comp just wasn't syncing. So I do have to say that 199 is the fastest I found myself. If you can find it to be faster, that's beautiful, and he's gonna get more turns, which is gonna increase your damage. Again, you do need here some accuracy, so 230 plus is what I advise, and then again just as much attack and as much crit damage as you can fit. And then as for the last champion here, we have our Lord Shazar. Now Lord Shazar actually does not need any accuracy, at least not in this type of comp. Again, 100% crit rate, as much attack and crit damage as you can achieve, and then obviously a very low speed of 160. So again, you actually cannot change the speeds on Turvold and Lord Shazar even by 1, so they need to be exactly 160 and 159. I did try out everybody in Lore of Steel, and that's okay. You can also go with some speed sets if you need, as like in our case with our Maneater. You can go with triple speed set, and you can use the Lord of Steel if you perhaps cannot achieve the speed through any other means, and that's gonna be okay. I actually tested it out all the way up to 292, I believe, 294 actually, perhaps. You can do that, it's gonna be fine, he's gonna be working just fine. So basically 288 is the lowest you can go. Now let me actually just really quickly show you the masteries. The masteries are going to be the same for each of these champions, so I'm just gonna show it once. You can copy it for basically everybody else. So on the offense tree, we go the basic clan boss route. We do not have any benefit from the turns, so I took the Stoke to Fury, just in case we get some poisons on the beginning of the run. If we are still, we do not get fully in sync, which is gonna be, as I said, till turn 9. Now, as I said, if you are wondering what you can do if you do not have Turvold, I'm just gonna stop the video here, and I'm gonna actually go change the builds up just a tad bit, and I'm gonna show you what else you can bring in to still utilize your Draco and Shazar. Hello guys, and we're back. I'll straight up go into the second run here. So what I want to show off here is actually a bit of a different type of comp. So we'll be utilizing Vizier. Again, we're on Force Affinity sadly, so our Draco won't really be doing the damage he can do. But again, it's a pretty interesting team. Again, we're here now just relying on the debuffs on the boss, which actually Vizier here is gonna extend pretty nicely, even though he is unbooked. So the plan here is actually he extends all the debuffs that Draco will place, which will end up in getting us more damage overall. Now I do want to say the setup is just a tad bit different. So basically Draco here stays the same. Then for Lord Shazar, now we actually set the opener to A1 and just completely shut off the A3. Maneater stays the same, Demytha stays the same, and then Vizier, we just want him to A1. The run is full auto here, you do not even have to manual for even a second, and we'll go straight into it. I'm gonna speed the run from here on out, and then I'm gonna show you the end result. as you can see, 58 million damage. Now I do want to point out the fact that the Vizier is actually unbooked here. I'm just gonna show you really quickly. So if he was booked, he would have had a much higher chance to actually extend all the debuffs. Given that we actually have built a Fumita team on this account for Abrox, I just couldn't tell him to book Vizier. It just wouldn't be fair, not just for testing purposes. So perhaps if you do have a booked Vizier, you can test the team out yourself. I'm fairly certain that basically on other affinities, mainly as well if Vizier was booked, the damage could be much higher, given the fact that the debuffs would initially be placed faster. You could have seen Draco just not place them, given that he was weak affinity, and then actually when you add Vizier not being able to extend them all the time, it just got a lot of damage from the fight. So the stats stay the same for basically the Demytha, for the Maneater, as well as Vizier, who basically comes here instead of Dervold, so he's at 160 speed, and then Draco stays the same speed as well. I'm just gonna show you really quickly. So as you can see, no changes here, and as I said, you can get him to 195 speed too, if you perhaps cannot reach 191 and 198. So the only change we actually made here is Shazar, because we now want him to use the extra turn. He has an A2, so his speed now changes to 205. It can be 204 as well. At 206 it just breaks the comp, so you just cannot get that high, so the speeds are a bit tight. You need to keep that in mind. Given that the comp works on these specific speeds, it's still not as hard to build as some people would perhaps think. Given that the speeds are not as high as in many other unkillable comps, you can still reach them fairly easy. With all that in mind, I'm really happy to have been able to show off these two really awesome teams, and I truly hope perhaps some of you give them a try. If you achieve higher damage, please send your screenshots. I truly want to see what you perhaps have come up with. I do want to say that in the first comp, I truly wish we could have made it possible for both Dervold and Lord Shazar to be taking extra turns through the A2 skills. Sadly, the speeds just weren't functioning for some reason. I tried basically changing them all up, trying to build them up from scratch. Just literally nothing was working, and in the end we had to cut the A2 from Shazar, given that Dervold actually has much more damage through his A2. So with that all in mind, I truly just want to thank you all for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's not a wonky comp. Not everything has to wonky. You do get 4 keys throughout the day, and with a 2-key comp on Ultra Nightmare, hey, you can still 1-key Nightmare and Brutal. It's fine. You do not have to 1-key Ultra Nightmare. Not everybody has to. If you can achieve one of the other clan boss teams that can 1-key, that's beautiful and awesome. But if perhaps you're just struggling a tiny bit, and you just really cannot achieve any of those teams yet, or perhaps you're missing some key champions like perhaps a Seeker, or maybe you want to go for double Maneater and you do not have a second Maneater, you maybe have a Demytha. So it's all fine. You just really want to get to Ultra Nightmare as soon as possible, and if this is the team that gets you there, I'll be really happy, and if not, I hope you at least enjoy the video. So without further ado, thank you for stopping by again. I truly appreciate each and every one of you, and until the next video, Mr. Wednesday signing out.